he's got right now, not working.
No.
Commissioners, we are live.
Okay. I call this April 8th meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Please, everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good Monday morning, everybody.
Good morning.
A little smoky, a little hazy out there, huh?
Very.
Start. I think this morning we'll just jump right into public comment, and I'm pretty sure Russell's got something to update us on, hopefully.
Morning, Commissioners. Russell Stuckey, Riley County Fire and Emergency Management. As you know, we've had a little bit of a fire this weekend. Actually, a couple, if you go back to Friday. And we had one here in Manhattan on county property that's not annexed into the city that burned down a house. So I don't know if I'm totally familiar with that one. And then we've had we're calling the Axleton Road fire, which came from Pot County, which is called the Jenkins fire over there. That's all the same fire. And then there was a unrelated fire up in Marshall County. So the state was dealing with all of those. Excuse me. And so there were resources called in from around the state that first got assigned to Marshall County, and then they got that fire wrapped up. And so then they just shoved them down to us, and we had resources here we didn't even know about. So I'd go around the corner and there was Wichita fire trucks sitting there, and I didn't even know they were here. So, but obviously we don't want to turn down help, but we at times had more help than we knew was due with us. So, but unfortunately we did lose one home off of a point on the south end of Axleton Road. I think there's some video out there on that, and I'm going to estimate 3,000 plus acres. It might be quite a bit higher than that that's actually burned. Like I said, we've had resources from all over the state. We've had airdrops from both Tanker 95 and the Hyman brothers, and Black Hawk helicopters from National Guard have been dropping. All those resources are assigned by the state, so we are financially responsible for those. Fortunately, Sunday morning they got the radio system back up and running on a limited basis. So we were able to actually use on Sunday. We were actually able to start using our own radio system. We were still using the state system, so using both systems, communicate to the state resources, etc. What else is there, Vivian? I'm drawing a blank now, but we've had hours and hours on the fire line. The winds were very prohibitive to us Saturday, really working against us. Then when they changed Sunday, they were a little bit lighter, but the big thing was they changed direction, so they were blowing the fire back towards Pot County, which is unfortunate for Pot County, but it was fortunate for us. The biggest battles were the heavy fuel load through the river valley and on the core ground / Kansas Wildlife and Parks ground. That it's just out there in that silt, and we tried to get out there and fight it, but trucks just, even though it's not that muddy, they just sink in that silt, and we just couldn't make any traction. And obviously it's too heavy of fuel loads to be out there with just ATVs and hand crews. And so there was a lot of hurry up and wait, where we had to just wait for the fire to come to us and get to the hills and then put it out. We did several different backfire operations. Some of them were successful. There was a couple that didn't work and the fire still jumped. So, I just want to give a shout out, like I did on came in earlier, to especially all of our volunteers, and remind everybody that our fire department, other than myself and Doug right now, are all volunteers. People are out there taking time away from their family, their home, their work, their school, their farms to help everybody else out. And, I've been logging my time and just since Friday night at midnight, I have or close to 30 hours in, and I know a lot of our volunteers have the same type of numbers. So, big shout out to them. Obviously, with all this operations, we've had some trucks break down, and so the county shop has a list this morning of stuff to work on. We activated the EOC both Saturday and Sunday. So that was activated. What else? What am I missing? Vivian spent a lot of yesterday with me out in the field, getting pictures and taking it all in. So I'm sure I'm missing some stuff.
We, kind of moving forward, we're gonna be trying to keep the public informed, especially those who live in that area of what they need to be aware of. We're gonna share information about the importance of creating defensible space, that you can contact either emergency management, K-State Research and Extension, Kansas Forestry Service, to learn about how to make your home the safest it can be in the event of a wildfire. If you've got vegetation right up close to the home, it's practically impossible for firefighters to save. So there are some things that homeowners can do for the future. Status of evacuation right now, are people back in their homes?
Yeah, people are back in their homes. To add on to what Vivian said, there's video of, unfortunately, of that. Fortunately, but unfortunately, that house that did burn up. I did talk to that homeowner and let them know that unfortunately we weren't able to save their house, and they said, yeah, we know. Apparently they had a game camera or something. They said we were watching the firefighters. They stayed there as long as they could. We were sad our house burned, but we know they did everything they could. So, and I think there's one or two that are shy some eyebrows and some facial hair. They stayed there probably a little longer than they should have. But yeah, hopefully we can take some of that footage and make an educational video of here's what defensible space looks like, and it's all burned around the house, but the house survived. Versus, unfortunately, this is what happens when there's not defensible space. So,
And no injuries to this point that we're aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, a lot of long hours, and it really is, not to get too emotional about it, but as someone who's not a member of the department, I can say that it really is heartwarming. It kind of restores your faith in humanity to see the folks who show up to help and risk their safety, just because they care enough about the community to do so. So thank you to everybody who's been out there on the line.
And then another shout out to Megan Fink Larson, who's one of our support staff, but she's been kind of managing people that have been donating food and stuff, and she's been bringing food out to the firefighters and running around in her own vehicle. Obviously, I told her to save her receipts, and anything that she's paid for a lot of stuff. Obviously, we're reimbursed her for the food and stuff. So, big shout out to her. She's helped with the comfort level a little bit with all the firefighters. So, appreciate that, and all the donations that have been going to her, food and water and drinking water and such. Do you have any? You got something else to add? Do you commissioners have any questions at this time? I would recommend that, we don't cancel that disaster declaration. We let it run. Hopefully we don't need it. Hopefully after today. Deputy Chief Doug Russell's up in Oldsburg right now in a strategy meeting with the state and Pot County and getting their bearings. Overnight there was let's see, Fort Riley Fire, Boisington, a task force out of KCK, and then we had one of our tender units fall in the water. They're out there overnight watching stuff, and our people and then some different state assets, will be there today. Best case scenario, they could wrap things up today, depending on what happened overnight and the wind conditions and everything. So I would recommend leaving the disaster declaration in place, but I don't think we're going to have to extend that one. Okay. And then on the radio system, I have a meeting Wednesday morning with RCPD IT and county IT and the vendors. Right now, like I said, the radio system is functioning. It doesn't have all capabilities, especially some of the online related capabilities. So it is not, connected to the internet anyway right now. So there are some functionality that does not work. And we're going to talk about what we need to do and what the best mode of action going forward is Wednesday. And so Thursday, I might have an update for you. I might talk to Rich about maybe putting a slot at the end of the meeting, and if I don't have anything yet. If I have something, I can talk to you.
The county station in Riley, the same trucks were there, the same personal trucks were there all weekend. Those guys were I'm not back, but I saw.
Right.
If they came back, it must have been late at night.
Yeah, last night, most of them, I think I left the Sweet Creek station at just after midnight, and people were checking out from 10:30, through midnight. I waited till the last one checked out and then came back. So yeah, there's been some long days. And another shout out, like I said, we're all volunteers. So if you thought about volunteering, go to the county website, go to volunteer fire, and applications are on there.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thanks.
Thanks, Russell.
Any other public comment? Seeing, no, you're
Okay.
here for the reservation, right? That's your okay. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close off public comment. We'll move to commissioner comments.
Okay, I didn't have anything, but Thursday afternoon, I did attend the retirement for Robin Cole out there at Candlewood. There was a large crowd, including had all of her kids and grandkids there, and several speakers talked about all she's done in here for Act Honey and also other groups across the city and area that she's volunteered at, but she's done a lot of work over the weekend. Spent trying to avoid the wind. Just planted a spruce tree a couple weeks ago, and I'd staked it for the north winds that usually come through. The south winds came, it pulled it out.
Not surprised.
I mean, it wasn't, but it was probably about 5 or 6 foot tall, but those things are so dense. Just pulled it up. I mean, go up there and dig it out.
You dig it?
They said I checked and they said it shouldn't hurt it, but
Oh, goodness.
that's all I got.
Okay. Well, let's see. Thursday afternoon, I had a physical therapy session. Then I worked on my taxes later in the afternoon. That evening, I had a committee meeting at the church. Friday, I had another PT session in the morning, worked on taxes again and did some yard cleanup. I did have a phone conversation with the Kansas Department of Commerce about some possible upcoming broadband grants. I've been inquiring about eliminating the process of companies and government entities digging up streets and roads numerous times to put in infrastructure such as electrical, broadband, plumbing, etc. And I did learn that some communities have put in conduits for entities to use, and it's called Dig Once or Dig Smart programs, which I think would be, really a good thing to do, especially as we move into rural Riley County. There may be some grants available for underserved areas such as Keats or other rural areas as we move north. And I know WTC is, then we had have something coming up for Twin Valley proposal today. And we might, kind of put some of that stuff off till we can find out if we can get a grant to put in something and they can all work together on it. I don't know.
Together.
But I would like to eliminate, if we get this infrastructure or the sewer grant to work on Keats, then I want to have to go back and redig everything to protect all the other like fiber optics and that kind of thing. And we could possibly do this, if possible, in with our design work on our sewer infrastructure, if that comes through. So anyway, so that was kind of interesting. I'm going to follow up with them today and see if we can find some more information. Weekend spent cleaning, doing some yard work and shopping. I did go to the Parkside Station for dinner on Saturday. I've never been there, gone by there numerous times. That's the gas station they converted
Oh,
to
one,
a
yeah.
restaurant down in Plains.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I've been wanting to go in there, and finally went in there for dinner, and it's really amazing the things that they did to it. They really gutted out the inside and really did some really interesting design work in there. So a good restaurant. And then they've got their bakery, they've got all the pastries there. It's really, you probably been there. It's really a good place. I really enjoyed it. So Sunday went to church, did paperwork, went over documents for our meeting today. And then yesterday evening, I went to a friend's 80th birthday party. It was really a lot of fun. So that's it for me.
Okay. Well, as for me, Thursday, I too attended the retirement ceremony here for a lot of people in Manhattan. Of course, there's a couple of different ones of those, and judging by the audience there, I can see why. I didn't stay for the whole thing because I had something else to attend to, but yeah, kids, grandkids, all different types of people from the community were there. Good to have that opportunity, particularly since she represents a 10-county service area. So it's good to see. Friday morning, I spoke with Matt McAprang. He's the engineer from KDOT who's working on the construction project over here on 177. There's been some community concerns in recent weeks over traffic control efforts in the area. They work to complete the necessary repairs to the highway. He did inform me that the measures are temporary. They're not permanent. There's been some discussion about that. That's permanent. It's only there to help divert the flow of traffic while most of that construction has each one of those lanes down to one lanes, kind of heading back in and out of town at this point in time. We all know it's not convenient, but there's not a convenient time to do that. And their original plan was to go in and basically go to all the relief joints and just come back and patch. But as they realized that they were designing that, there was no reason to do that. You might as well just replace the whole thing. And it's going to be a lot easier and a lot less construction over the course of time. So it's going to take a little longer to do in the short term, but it's going to keep them from having to do longer term repairs over and over and over again out there. So we're just going to have to grin and bear that one and wait for them to get it done. But all the things that are in place, they've gone back out and kind of looked at them and made a couple of adjustments along the way there too. They're going to watch them to make sure it's working and flowing okay while they try to work to get that done. And I don't necessarily have a wrap up time on that just yet. Materials. We're still kind of a struggle there. So just be patient is what I would say there. Friday morning, I also, speaking of patience, I also met with my doctor.
Kind of patience.
Yeah, it's been a struggle of sorts over the last couple of weeks, particularly with this new medication they put me on. And we're making a few adjustments to hopefully relieve that, continue to keep everything on track. But I'm meeting with the overall doctor of the entire program next month. May put on the gloves on that one. I don't know just yet. Friday afternoon, we had our monthly RCPD pre-law board meeting at the Law Enforcement Center. Had an upfront one-on-one discussion on the fiscal year 2025 budget and everything that's gone into putting that together. That followed a presentation in the area of criminal assessment threats. That'll be coming out soon. It's not completely wrapped up. They just wanted to start talking about and discussing that. And then we discussed and finalized the agenda for the April 15th law board meeting that will be taking place at City Hall. I guess that's next Monday. Ooh, yeah. Next Monday already. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, as I think everybody's well aware, we did have to come down and sign a declaration for local emergency for the wildfire that's already been discussed. Was hoping we'd get some rainfall to cover that and knock it out, but Mother Nature, I guess, didn't want to cooperate with us on that one. Not great that it caused damage to property. Apparently, it's not the first time wildfire has taken out that particular property. So their discussion on how to do damage control there is probably a pretty smart idea. Never good to have to evacuate citizens and residents as well, but safety is always important. We had several road closures. I think that was one thing that wasn't mentioned there too. Huge thanks and appreciation, as mentioned, to all the firefighters, emergency personnel, both on site and from around the state, that had a hand in keeping this fire at hand at least, and hopefully we get it contained and put completely out. The rest of the weekend, speaking of patience, worked on finishing up both my state and federal taxes. That was, as usual, both frustrating and discouraging at the same time, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, so that's all I've got.
Ready for business,
Yeah.
commissioners? First item I have, I need a motion to approve plaza reservation request for Kansas Science Festival downtown Manhattan, Inc. for Saturday, April 27th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, well, I would make a motion to approve the plaza reservation request for the Kansas Science Festival in downtown Manhattan for Saturday, April 27th from 10 to 4.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a plaza reservation request for the Kansas Science Festival in downtown Manhattan, Inc. for Saturday, April 27th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair,
Let's
please
hope for
sign.
good weather and no wind. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
You. Next, commissioners need a motion to approve highway use permit, granting Evergy permission to bore new underground conduit crossing 4 foot under the Wildcat Creek Road at 457 Wildcat Creek Road.
I move to approve the highway use permit for Evergy.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the highway use permit for Evergy, permission to complete the work as outlined in the permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair, please sign.
Yeah.
Someone messed up somewhere.
I guess.
Commissioners need a motion for highway use permit granting Twin Valley Telephone permission to bury fiber optic in the town of Keats according to the details and route shown on the maps.
Now, this is the one that, came up and that I was working on, and I don't know what happens if we don't get infrastructure for the sewer, and Keats kind of, that's where we, I mean, I don't know,
Did
but
they lay it out? Is it laid out so it's on the same side of the street where we're gonna be putting the sewers?
well, it goes up in the Neath area,
Yeah.
and the designs, all the.
I know, but I'm just wondering, do we need to make sure it's on the opposite?
This
Look
is,
at the plans for the sewer.
well, you need to also keep in mind, this is a grant that they already have to do actually.
No, I'm not saying not do it. I'm just saying we need to make sure it's laid out so it's not laying right in the same spot where we want to put sewers sometime.
Yeah,
I don't have those two sets of plans.
Yeah.
But we don't actually have that decided completely yet on our end.
Yeah.
Well, they had-
well, we haven't yet, but it's coming up.
They have tentative layout of where the. sewer-
Would be good if John were here, we could ask him if they've got that laid out.
They probably do, because they wouldn't be asking for the highway use permit. We don't in terms of having ours designed yet, so.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be on a time frame in order to be able to use the grant, so.
If this is put in place and we had to, I'd imagine the engineer, get his name, would just alter the route.
Yeah,
You think that could probably have, if
Yeah,
possible.
the good thing is they'll definitely know where it's located since it'll be new. Of
yes.
course, it depends on which one gets installed first too, so.
And what happens if WTC then gives up with the grant for them to do it? Because they were.
WTC isn't gonna cover out there because Twin Valley are.
Yeah, they're gonna be fringe, yeah,
They're not, it's kind of like the railroad, they're working together to get to a
Well,
point.
that's
that-
good.
for the rural
against each
areas.
other, yeah.
Well, Well, I don't know. I think we probably ought to put it here to approve it based, with the contingent that they work with.
To coordinate.
To coordinate with the sewer design. You want
Go to John and have him check it out.
Yeah, we need to have John.
Mhm.
Yeah. How would word that?
I'll just have John check it out and get with the commissioners.
Okay, so we're gonna not approve that till we get that information. So
That's up to
I
you.
think we need to approve it still,
Yeah, I mean,
because they're on a time frame.
especially with the grant.
Yes.
yeah, we've got a broadband can't grant.
That's an expensive ordeal for a company to
Yeah, it's a
undertake.
couple $1 million.
Okay,
And that for something that I know at least this commission's had a priority in getting those areas served.
yeah. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I just would like some coordination with them.
Yep.
What we do.
And hopefully John will be here later, but if not, I got a note to get a hold of him to let the board know.
I'd move to approve the highway use permit running Twin Valley, permission to complete work as outlined. And just as a note, to try to coordinate it with any future sewer locations.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the highway use permit granting Twin Valley Telephone permission to complete the work as outlined in the permit. And also keeping in mind future usage of sewer. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair, please.
The play goes to every house in our whole sewer district. And beyond.
Next, commissioners, need a motion to approve the 2024 Week of the Young Child Riley County Proclamation, April 7th through the 13th, 2024.
Let's see, it doesn't have the date. What date was that?
April 7th through the 13th.
I'd make a motion to approve the Week of the Young Child, which is from April 7th to the 13th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation of Week of the Young Child, April 7th to 13th. All in favor?
Aye.
All three sign, please. Next, commissioner, need a motion to approve National County Government Month Proclamation for April 2024.
Yeah, I move to approve the proclamation for April 2024 as National County Government.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proclamation for April 2024 National County Government Month. All in favor?
Aye.
All three sign, please.
That'd be annoying to listen to.
I know.
It sounds like a dentist stuff. Yeah. I've got that time to shut up for now.
Go ahead. Say what I did.
We're talking about patience.
Go out there.
We're talking about patience.
Yeah, it's not there, actually, yeah.
Well, County Treasurer Eileen King always said patience is a virtue, it's just not one of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's told me that time or two.
Yeah, so many.
Thank you, commissioners. Need a motion on Riley County Position Action Form for Drug Endangered Children Coordinator and Health Department.
Did we discuss this last week? Didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the position that actually you voted to fill, but it didn't sign the goals, she didn't get signed. So.
Okay. Well, I'd make a motion to sign the position action form for the Drug Endangered Children Coordinator.
Second.
Moved and seconded to sign the action form for the Drug Endangered Children's Coordinator. All in favor?
Aye.
All three signed, please.
And Rich, this is now your time.
Yeah. I figured you'd want to get through the business first.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, I noticed that last month too, when it goes on, it's all on there, but it's,
What's that?
well, you can't see the percentages.
Yeah, I know it does that sometimes. Notice that as well.
I think it's
By whether-
it's over percent.
Yeah, usually we get that. That's
Commissioners.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning, commissioners. First report is 2024 year-to-date wages compared to overtime report. As you can see in the upper right-hand corner in that little rectangle there, we're at 25% point in time of the year. That's just what we kind of use as our barometer to gauge where departments should be budgetarily for wages and overtime, and also their complete budgets respectively. Just kind of a little red flag if there's anything over it to draw our attention to kind of analyze it, keep an eye on it throughout the year. You'll see one is the emergency management there, that's at 36. In EMS ambulance is they're at 21%, so they're okay. Overall, you'll see EMS ambulance at 10.26%. That middle column of overtime, remember the overwhelming majority of that, commissioners, is budgeted and anticipated just due to their 24/7 365 schedules. Other than that, overall in overtime, we're doing quite well at just 1.39% overall. Any questions on that first page, commissioners? Next pages are just a little bit more detailed breakout of that information based on regular salary, seasonal, and overtime per department. A little snapshot. Any questions on any of those, commissioners? Next report's 2024 year-to-date budget activity. Once again, using that 25% of the year. Those highlighted in the blue are those that are above that point at this point. Of course, of budget appropriations, insurance, and general fund transfers, those are cyclical and should balance out by the end of the year. But of course, as you know, budget appropriations, the majority of them have 50% of the appropriations paid out of that at the beginning of the year, and then once again in the middle of the year. Insurance, just cyclical due on when those premiums are due. Any questions on that first page, commissioners? I do like to also point out 2 lines down from that boldest blue portion, county general at just a 4.49%, which is atypically low for most departmental budgets, but because we have that budget stabilization amount in there, that is the reason for that. Any questions on that page? Next report's year-to-date budget for the rest of these. These are individual budgets. Those highlighted in the blue, of course, those are all community corrections related. Remember, that's changed this year where we used to just have a couple funds to now where the state wants it broke out individually in separate budgets. course, this is something Brittany keeps a close eye on and we will watch throughout the year. It's very early in the year to see at the end of the year if any budget amendments will be needed.
But a lot of those are under 25 that you got.
Yeah, I noticed that this morning. I
This,
think,
but
yeah,
It is.
they're
That's
still under the last of the 16.
That's one of those,
17% one.
changes in our reports we're getting used to as well.
Maybe we need to,
You can see those,
Yeah, because most of those aren't,
yeah,
are well on the top.
there's
few.
two there that are Caroline Pine and the GMCF grant fund, but other than that, the rest are below the 25%. Any question on economic development? Remember, is also another one where budget appropriations get paid out of. So that's cyclical in nature as well. Emergency 911. Based on when they fund projects out of there in RCPD operations, of course, it's just at the 24%. Remember, we do have those large appropriations amounts in there, so it's not atypical for that one to be over at certain points in time of the year, but is not at this point. Any questions on that, Commissioner?
might want to find a way to, I may not be able to color coordinate it to do blue, but to maybe segregate those line items for community corrections.
They are all pretty much in order, I believe. Starting with community corrections 144, all of the rest of those immediate below there are related to community corrections.
they're all new funds.
Two,
They're all new
3,
funds.
4, how many are there?
There's 12.
City alcohol funds is,
All the way down to the Daniel Keating. Yeah.
There's a lot.
Community corrections down through Daniel Keating are all related to community corrections and or juvenile intake.
okay. Is there a way of maybe just pulling those out and doing those separate so we
We
can?
could maybe highlight a box around there, maybe do something like that within the form. We can check on that.
Because those are always.
You like to keep them all together for sure. Is preferred.
Yeah, I agreed on that, but
So maybe if we could highlight a box around it or something, a different color or something. We can see what we can do. Excel's a great tool. Any questions on that page, Commissioners? Next page are all enterprise funds. Those are funds that do not derive any ad valorem tax dollars from the county or any city. It is all paid with taxes and fees within those districts to either the landowner or the renter in those districts. Any questions on those? They all appear to be doing very well at this point in time, early in the year. Next report is just a 2023 to 2024 comparison budgetarily for all the departments. March to March snapshot, and then also year to date through March snapshot. Of course, not each year is an apples to apples comparison, I'd like to remind commissioners, but it gives you something to look at to see comparatively where departments are compared to 2023. Any questions on those, commissioners? Next report is just a bit more detailed report on the general I was talking about, which is the typical 4.49% budget. That is, of course, because of that middle line item there at $4 million budget stabilization, which no monies have been expended on, and we do not want them to be, of course, because it's for extreme emergencies that we may need for the community. Any questions on that report, commissioners? I'd like to remind commissioners and those watching personnel, no personnel get paid an hourly or weekly or monthly salary out of there. It's just for separation of service. 2024 year-to-date budget activity RCP expenses paid by Riley County is this sheet here. I like this next sheet a little bit better. It kind of gives you a snapshot comparatively where we are through since 2020 to compare about how we're doing. You can see physicians rather high already for this early in the year. That's a common denominator with the last several years. ADP impacts that, but then also the psychotropic drugs because of the mental health issues that we have to fund, as the commissioners know. And I'd like to remind everyone, anything inmate related, facilities related for RCPD and inmate related for housing and medical is 100% cost and borne by Riley County taxing entity, and that is the only taxing entity that pays for that.
It was long conversation that was had on Friday on just this subject. In the law board meeting, pre-law board meeting. Yeah. There's not a lot of solutions to this.
And then you see the budget appropriation amount in there as well. Any questions on that report, commissioners? Building maintenance is another one I'd like to keep an eye on. It's not doing too bad right now. They communicate with John and his staff on that for any projects they have coming up. Next report's offsite inmate medical expenses paid by Advanced Correctional Healthcare. You will see where we're at there, the pool balance of $10,836. So once again, high. Also point out that ADP is at 103, so still up there. Always have a direct impact. Any questions on any of these reports, commissioners? If you don't now, but you go through them later and have any, let us know. Be glad to find the answer for you. John, since you're here, the commissioners approved the Twin Valley highway use permit. And like you look at that route and see if it has any potential impact on the Keys sewer line route as well.
I don't know if we know where that is yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what the commissioners were asking too, if there is. Thank you, commissioners. I live in each one, I need to email you now. Next, commissioner, you have Mr. Holman at 9:15.
In the meantime, still got some minutes to pass.
We have minutes, tentative agendas, any changes to the minutes?
Yeah.
Let me pull them up, Commissioner.
Oh,
Please mind open up.
on my comments that I probably messed up, I couldn't remember Jankovich's first name and I came up with Rick and I don't think that's right, was it?
Rich.
Okay. I just- I was having a moment, I just couldn't just blank.
There you go. 15.
So you got that to Rich. Under my name.
From Rick to Rich.
Yeah.
About where, oh, there it is, I see it. You were close.
It was close, it was
Yep.
one letter, but you know.
Got that. What else did you have, Commissioner McKinley?
I found item number 15, holiday discussion. He said, move to observe Christmas Eve and Christmas Day as holidays, except when it falls on Saturday and Sunday, then on a Christmas Day. And that's not true. If it's on Saturday, it's going to be Christmas Eve. If it's on Sunday, it's going to be the day after. And also, it's on Thursday. It's not Christmas Eve. It's going to be Christmas Day and the day after. So it's basically 2 days during the week or 1 day on the weekend.
So how do you want me to change? the
I don't know.
wording? Sorry, I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there. Oh,
No, Cindy came in.
no, okay. I mean, because basically if it's Monday through Friday, it's two days. If it's Saturday or Sunday, it's 1 day. This is, and I mean, in our personnel book, it'll be
Right.
explained, but it's kind of.
Maybe we ought to just take that whole thing out.
Is it just that last part, Commissioner McKinley?
Well, no, because it says Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but if Christmas is on Thursday, we're going to be Thursday and Friday.
Darn, wish Elizabeth hadn't left. So it wasn't here, so I don't know what you guys discussed exactly.
Well,
I had it written down, but it's not.
I'll have
Christmas
Cindy get with
yeah,
Elizabeth.
Christmas is on Monday, it's going to be Monday and Tuesday. and Friday.
Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I'll have
For clarify.
Cindy get with Elizabeth and then Elizabeth can get with you.
Yeah.
Okay? I put
Because I
it
know
out there.
that we had a discussion, got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Minutes.
It was kind of confusing.
I'm just kind of at a disadvantage since I wasn't there.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Went back and forth more than once there.
Mhm. Yep. Got it asterisk and we'll try and get it clarified. What else, commissioners?
I didn't say anything else.
That was it.
Okay,
I moved to approve the minutes of the April 4th meeting as amended.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve the April meeting minutes from the April 4th meeting as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
And the agendas are tentative.
you tentative, they're okay? Any items for next week's press conference? I didn't know if you wanted to go with Clancy. Press conference items, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Clancy.
No.
Now you're good, Clancy. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. Before I talk about the project list or answer any questions you have about that, I want to touch base on a couple of things. I have on the printed calendar for April that today would have normally been the county official luncheon, and I couldn't recall if that ever got canceled or not.
It did.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure there wasn't anybody out there thinking it was going to happen. So, good enough. And then that's what I was assuming. Wanted to just follow up kind of on one thing. You've got two local emergency disaster declarations out there. I just want to clarify a little bit. The one that you've got on the cybersecurity incident, that will last all the way through the end of business on Monday, the 15th. You've got until when you could, before then, at the next meeting on Thursday or next Monday, you can deal with that. You can extend it again if necessary, resolve it, what have you. And then the most recent one from this past weekend, that will actually last through the close of business. Will actually last until Saturday morning. So you've got until you can actually, you don't need to take action on it as a board if you want to continue it until Thursday. And as long as you have a quorum, you could make that decision on Thursday. So, and it sounded like from, yeah, you would.
Or a special meeting.
I'm not arguing.
Well, I'm not saying, but I
You're
mean,
right.
worst case scenario, you could do that all the way up until Saturday morning
Sure.
if you had to, right?
Yes.
I'm not encouraging it.
You can do that, and I can add a couple executive sessions and you just go.
Let's not encourage that for all the reasons listed above. Thank you.
I've just never heard an appetite for a special meeting expressed, you know. But no, you're absolutely right. So there, you would have that flexibility. I didn't want you to know. Sometimes it gets a little confusing as to which one's gonna end and which one's not. So I'm gonna tell you that. Then on what you've got in front of you, going on the project list is it's updated as of last week. Be glad to answer any questions that you've got. If there's anything you're into. Oh, I guess it may not be on here in detail, but of course, you've got the passage of Senate Bill 384. I think that's the right number.
It is.
Which ended, had an ambulance measure on the front end of it. And then state of Wisconsin behind it was just because that's what the legislature wanted to do, was those in charge of such things wanted that bill, part of that shell. It's the infamous shell legislation, which they always look for those, as you get deeper and deeper in the session, they're probably looking for it all through the session, I imagine, for something that they would like to have added on in a shell bill out of conference committee and then an up or down vote in either house on the merits of it, excuse me, either chamber on the merits of it. So its passage first in the House and then the Senate last week means that it will head to the governor's office. Senate Bill 162, which is within Senate Bill 384. It will now be the Riley County and Crawford County Nuisance Abatement Act, the unincorporated area only, and excluding all agricultural properties, because those amendments were all acceptable as we went through the process. Those aren't the properties that end up being the nuisance problem. Historically, it's some sort of residential use that's creating a nuisance. So it'll be interesting to see. And we do have, I was asked whether or not the sunset provision is still there, and it is. That's part of it. So it'll actually expire, assuming they don't add something on at this point. I don't think it can be. I say that advisedly. It would be effective July 1st ordinarily. This upcoming July 1st. Occasionally the legislature will have, this happened a couple times during COVID most recently. They would have something that would be effective upon publication in the Kansas Register, that state paper that has all the, comes out, I don't know if it's weekly or monthly or whatever it is, probably weekly, but I'm just guessing. But it would have a list of legislation that had been, was going to be effective as a publication. And so you will get things that become effective before July 1st. That does not appear to be what's going to happen here. I didn't see anything in the conference committee report, certainly it's talked about that. So I don't think that can happen. So July 1st would be the earliest it would be in place, and then it will last 3 years. It will expire if it's not extended by the legislature in July of 20, that would be 27. So that's, and it's right there in the conference committee report, the tail end of that legislation.
Clancy, did they extend Sedgwick County again with a sunset?
Well, they got rid of the sunset. on
That's what I was
Sedgwick County, yeah.
wondering.
Last I knew, that was
Yeah.
the only reason their bill was even in front of the legislature, either to leave the sunset provision in place or extend the sunset, or to make it permanently remove the sunset provision. So it should be special permanent legislation. Permanent as anything is, it should be later on repealed.
The reason being
They
is,
didn't do it for the other.
well, no, the reason being is that Sedgwick County has an urban designation
Mm,
that we don't. So like, I think if Johnson County was to ask for that, and Shawnee County may be a gray area in there was to ask for that, they had the urban designation, so they may actually get the sunset, the rest of us do not. And I kind of argue if we, and Douglas County shouldn't either, just simply because we're part of metropolitan planning, so we have a federal designation already, but not a state one. It's weird. I don't know. So anyway.
And you'll have a variety of opinions as to what that even means or how it's even done.
Yeah. It's based off of some kind of a formula, I'm told, where the threshold is a certain amount of citizens live not in the incorporated area, but in a city. And that percentage is like way above 2/3 or something. And if they live in the city 2/3 and the unincorporated area is smaller than that, then they're given the designation. So, and we don't fit that criteria, I guess. So. That's what I was told. I don't know if it's right or
No,
not.
that's, it just, I'll add it to the list of things that have been described about what urban, how you get that designation and what it means. If you, and getting an answer from those in authority there is, okay, well, if this happens and it's designated an urban area or a part of it, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You'll get.
From my perspective on this, I think just getting it passed was the heavy lift. It should be much like Sedgwick County this time. It should be a lot easier to get.
what is it to get extended, take the sunset off?
Well, and again, it'll be up to them. I think it's, in theory, it should be based on the performance under the legislation. That's the reason it was put on there in the first place for Sedgwick County, was to see how it was used. And to make sure that in the legislature's view, there wasn't overreaching by Sedgwick County. And they're willing to do it, as we were. We said we fully expected this to be on there. I would have been shocked had it not been. But I didn't see the conference. I didn't actually see the conference committee report until this morning. Looked at that, saw it, didn't have any changes from the last version that I had seen. So,
Somebody asked me about it, said, where was I? I told them it's 3 weeks ago. They said, well, they did get the ag exemption amendment in it. I said, there already was an ag exemption. Oh, but yeah, I said, they reworded it a little for someone, but yes, there's, the intent was always, and this was obviously an ag person asking me that. I said,
Sure.
no, it was the ag exemption. It's always in there. They just changed the reading of it a little bit. So,
well, they made it more, they probably did not mean technically to extend, to add additional language, but it made one of the groups lobbying more comfortable having in there to make a specific reference to the agribusiness activities. Yeah, just fine.
Yeah.
You know, we would have been, there's no way it would have been enforceable against them anyway. But we were, it made sense to go along with that, and so we did. And that ended it. That raised their comfort level, so they would not oppose it.
another item, then just in general and things that, and they came in last year and talked to us about that strip of county land that in Vala. And I know Craig is working on that. I don't know if Shelley got brought up to date on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can't tell you exactly where that is right now, but she has worked on it.
Okay.
The last I knew, there were some statements about believing there was some kind of public nuisance, but I don't know.
It is And that's the person was saying, said, well, if you had something that nuisance, we'll look at your land in Dalla. And it's not our stuff, but.
Right, it's kind of been used as a de facto storage area.
Yeah.
Or something, so that still needs, that remains to be resolved, and it's not resolved yet.
Okay.
I don't know that it will be resolved in time for Shelley's last.
Well,
day.
I know, but they asked about it, and I said, I checked, but I'm sure it's.
It hasn't been forgotten.
Hasn't been forgotten, it's still there.
Been brought up to me too, so, yeah.
We'll figure it out. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Clancy, I just wanted to clarify the cybersecurity. Is that through April 15th or until April 15th?
I believe it's through. I believe that's what we did because we wanted the board to have the ability.
To modify it Monday if we needed to.
Yeah.
And
Through the business.
But that's a great question, and I'll go back and take a look.
yeah, let me know just in case. And then the one for the fire is through the morning of the 13th.
Yes, Saturday. And it would expire 12:01 midnight, and just after midnight on Saturday.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next commissioner, you know, the press conference,
Saturday?
9:30.
It's Saturday evening. No, Saturday morning. 7 days.
We signed that Saturday afternoon.
It's on Saturday. No.
I was gonna try. I was just gonna try.
You don't know how many times I sat there going Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Just thank goodness you didn't have to take off your shoes, huh?
That'd be terrible. Have to do that.
I just know how incredibly bad he is at math. That's happening there. Yeah, baseball team didn't do so well down in Florida.
They lose them all?
No, they won one. I'd come back to do it this
Which day was that?
Saturday. I think.
Saturday, yeah, I knew that's when our best pitcher was there. I'd heard them talking about him while I was driving a little bit, and they said the team has good confidence in him.
This potentially be a first or second round draft for this. How it is. Yeah. Royals are starting off good.
Yeah.
This in the hope for April.
So I never had Purdue and Connecticut, the
Yeah.
finals, yeah. I didn't know what men's record, I had 11 out of 16. So when we get 2 out of 8. That round, I missed that one. Big time.
Crash
It
the
just
burner.
crashed that time. And the women's,
I think it should be a pretty good game.
watch the women's game.
Yeah, I do too.
Better. And then I was, it's not big, it was like 25. But I was third, and I could have done a second if Connecticut beat Iowa, but then that foul when that didn't work, and then because I had UConn winning it all.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of people in South Carolina, they're all going to jump.
They did. They won yesterday.
They went. I didn't look back, but there was at least 10 people. It was real close.
Yeah.
If I lost it, but
Don't come down to a foul.
yeah, it came down to not making it all of a
Or
sudden.
charge, whichever way you want to look at it.
All of a sudden, boom,
Yeah.
the whole stunk of it was real close. I was doing well, but
That game tonight, I don't know. I
a couple of big guys going at it.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
still think UConn's got the edge because of their outside shooting, but we'll see.
really do not like Purdue, and I've never liked Purdue since they beat us down in the Cotton Bowl in football.
Alamo.
Alamo Bowl.
Oh,
So I've never liked since then, in any sport. That was the year we should have went to the national championship, stubbed our toe and just the team had no ability down there.
well, and all the coaches were gone and checked out.
Plus, we're playing against a pretty good quarterback in Jim Reeves too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had played against several that year.
Yeah. Okay, well, here we are at 9:30 and got a press conference and a couple of proclamations. Proclamations last week. Yeah, we're busy April for a health. I'm busy. Okay, well, we'll start off with health once again this morning. And a couple of long paragraphs on that. If we could shorten those up, I would appreciate that. We'll manage, we'll be able to. I've seen longer ones, believe me, I've seen longer ones. Yeah. So this one here is for the 2024 Week of the Young Child. So we'll start off here by saying, whereas the first year of a child's life are the period of the most rapid brain development and lay the foundation for all future learning, many parents have had to leave or change jobs due to challenges with childcare. High quality early care and education helps build strong developmental foundations for young children during the years of the greatest brain development, leading to positive outcomes for individual children and helping them be better prepared for school and more likely to succeed in life. And whereas many childcare providers at great personal and professional cost kept their doors open in order to support children and families in their community. The lack of sufficient and sustained public investment results in staffing shortages caused by low compensation, which are leading to childcare supply shortages that negatively impact families' ability to work, children's access to safe and quality care, educators' health and well-being. And whereas young children need early childhood educators who are incentivized and supported to provide high quality care to those with high and special needs. And whereas working families need sufficient high quality childcare spaces beginning at birth to be able to be available in the community. And whereas early childhood educators need access to supports and services for themselves and the children in their care, including infant, early childhood, mental health consultation, coaching from early intervention therapists serving children, support staff providing comprehensive services, and more. Therefore, we as the Riley County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim April 7th through the 13th, 2024 as Week of the Young Child in Riley County, Kansas, and encourage all citizens to work to make a good investment in early childhood in Riley County. Jan, do you have anything to add? Okay, come right on up. This one goes to her, right? Okay.
Thank you all very much. Speaking for the staff, families, and providers that receive services through the Raising Riley program, it's difficult to express the depth of our appreciation for the continued support from the Board of County Commissioners for the Raising Riley program and the ECBG grant in Riley County. This program has grown and expanded over the past decade to include more services to our community than ever before. None of this could have been accomplished without the support provided and approved by you, the BOCC. In these changing times, with challenges ever present around childcare availability and increasing cost, your continued support for both the community's most at-risk children and the childcare providers is very, very valuable. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll do a picture of the two of you, and then do you want to do pictures at the end with the big group, or?
Proclamations are going to be between us, we might want to just do this one first.
Okay.
Okay. Can you hold up the proclamation?
Yes.
And then, you want to see the
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
Stand in front of the desk if everybody's coming.
Oh, we're gonna do it in
Yes.
front of? Okay.
I think we'll have to go in front.
Oh, we're all going in front.
Are we all going in front? Oh, okay. I missed that.
How are we gonna do this?
Sorry.
You don't want to.
Let's stand up nice and tall. It's all right. I know. Everybody look right here.
Probably you get a little bit better.
Okay, and 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. One more. Jan, would you hold up the proclamation and say? Okay, that was a good smile. Gotcha, thank you so much.
Thank you. Come back all the way back. Okay, the next proclamation I have is National County Government Month. Something we typically do every April, so. I've seen some pictures and some videos, some other stuff going on from around the state and at the national level too, so I'm excited about this, so. So yeah, the theme this year, if anybody hasn't seen that already, is Forward Together. Or if you like hashtags like I do, same thing applies, of course. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties serving more than 330 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties fulfill a vast range of responsibilities and deliver services that touch nearly every aspect of our residents' lives. And whereas Riley County and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in an efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas under the leadership of the National Association of Counties President, Mary Jo McGuire, NACO is highlighting county leadership through its lens Forward Together, celebrating the role of county governments in connecting, inspiring, and leading intergovernmental partners. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties from all across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And whereas Riley County employees and elected officials provide essential services to residents, performing their duties in a manner that demonstrates a commitment to strong ethics, integrity, fiscal responsibility, and equality. Now, therefore, it be resolved that we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to learn more about the important role local government plays in our lives. I should say
Thank you very much.
thank you. Do we want to take some pictures and make sure?
And
Please, State Association did some?
sure.
Okay.
I also would add,
Go ahead.
when accepting the proclamation, I wanted to say that in my unique role, providing information to the public, I've gotten to work with every department here at Riley County for about 2 years now, and I'm very proud of the work that we do here. And I appreciate all of the dedication that you guys have shown to supporting the community, and I hope we continue to do so long into the future.
I might mention one other thing here real quick too, just on behalf of it. It's mentioned that there's 3,069 counties in the country. And that's tribals and parishes and everything else that goes with that. But let's not forget that there's 105 dedicated Kansas counties as well, doing the same work that we do here in Riley County, across the rest of the state as well. And that was definitely in play over the weekend for sure, just to give a great example of that. So just wanted to throw that out there.
One more group photo, this one behind the desk.
Yeah.
Hold that. Well, I appreciate you guys being so accommodating for all my PR
Get some
requests.
hands here.
Nice and close. And John, if you could get, I don't know. There we go. Thank you. And 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
That's great.
That'll be you.
I'll pass that.
Thank you.
You have good sound.
I almost said it too. Yeah. Yeah, it's a setting.
Get both rates.
You know, that's the kind of thing autocorrect doesn't.
Yeah.
Never you were.
Well, you might want to take the tie off to start with.
Socks too.
Oh, you got matching socks? I guess I got. Go right ahead, you're good.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Ellerman, Public Works, with my monthly update, department update. Little movement on some bridges. I think we're getting really close to wanting a bid.
Hopefully not, that's not a good thing.
So,
Movement on bridges, that's not a good thing.
there's going to move a little bit, yes. When they don't move, we have a little bit of problem too.
Okay.
As long as we don't have any big boats running into our.
Yes.
There's not enough water around.
One of those barges.
More water here, the more I came. Fancy Creek, they placed a deck last week, working on the hub walls or the rails. And, not sure when we're planning on doing that, but we're getting closer to that and being finished. Parallel Road will start here, in the next couple of months, mid-July. So we got parks. As of the writing of this, I had 3 full-time staff hired. As of Friday, I only had 2. Had one decided he wanted to take another job before he even started and didn't tell us until we called him.
It's not uncommon these days, unfortunately.
And so, and we have one seasonal plan hired and ready to go when he gets out of school. So one of the staff will start this afternoon and tomorrow. The other one will start next week. We're starting to look at turning on water fountains and sprinklers and stuff in the parks and around buildings again. Opening up the restrooms in the parks again. We've had some stress on a couple of trees. The new trees are some of the new trees we just planted at the park, so they're back out trying to put some more water on them. And the new mower that was approved through CIP and bids opened last week was ordered for the Parks Department.
Have we had a chance to take a look at the dog park out at Seco Park yet?
I looked at it, yes. I have David looking up some prices for shelters and concrete and putting together something for me, what it will take to get grass to grow, which
Understandable.
is probably a difficult situation with no water. And so I asked them for pricing on irrigation out there too. That's about the only way you're gonna have grass there with as many dogs that are out there is to have hardy summer Bermudas type of grass and some sprinkler system. I've kind of Googled some stuff and some of them are putting wood chips down, some of them are putting artificial.
I was thinking maybe something more artificial.
And we'll put something together for
Chop up
you.
all of our old tires and I'm kidding, but
That could be a possibility, rubber mulch. But the thing I would warn about that is where that rubber comes from. If it's tires with the steel belts,
Yeah.
you don't want that.
yeah, agreed.
We'll have more in place than what we probably do now.
Yeah, agreed.
How hot would that get also in
Yeah.
the summertime?
So I mean, I think we'll bring you something that's there's ways to probably improve it a little bit, but I don't know how long they last. With the traffic we get and how much money we want to spend on making it how nice we want to make it.
Some reason that's kind of come up this spring. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, we don't have any separation between, at that park, between the large dogs and the small dogs. like we have at Fairmont. Can we somehow do that?
I don't think so.
It is, it's important when you have a small dog. I mean, they don't get along and they, very well. Big dogs take over small dogs. But it'd be nice if there could be some sort of separation in there, but you might look at that.
Well, I mean, we can look at whatever you want us to look at and do whatever you
Like
want.
maybe a little fence, some sort of fence and a
That
gate.
park is situated.
It's got a hill.
straight. It's kind of on a triangle, kind of pie shape. From the entrance back to the back, and where you put the small dog to where you separate from the big dog, I don't know. I mean, you can't go any further the other ways because that's where the big animals for the rodeo. And then the other side is city, so.
Really of the opinion that that's not really the best place for a dog park,
Really.
just really is.
I asked that question too, is can we move it?
Yeah.
Where would we move it to? There's some shelters on the very south end, but that's used a lot for picnickers during lunchtime. And
To me, those shelters don't fit there either. Those shelters should be up there where the playground is, and more of a family environment.
you have
That's my-
shelter at all at the playground. It's maybe some benches or whatever.
I know, but when you think of a family environment, you would think shelters, picnic, kids playing at the playground. Stuff like that's a
Yeah,
better.
you don't want to move the dogs over there.
No, but
I mean.
maybe you move the dogs to the south end and the shelters go up towards the playground or something. It just wasn't designed well.
If you look at the size of the property that we own, there's got to be some other place we could put the dog park. Maybe we want to look at that. There's a lot of trees.
Depends on what you want to lose too. I mean, there's
Sled
some
hill.
small areas and you need acres or 5 acres for a dog park. We barely have an acre where we're at. You got the other end by the playground, which I don't think anything around that would be necessarily the best idea. You got the south, the west end where the trees and we'll pull out shelter. Like I said, there's always a picnic or two or 2 or 3 cars there at lunchtime. Then you get close to Waterfall in those areas. So I'm not sure that I have found a really good spot for it out there at Zico, other than where it's at.
The other thing is to consider, this board has talked about redesigning that whole park too, and so you go start putting something new.
Well, at some point in time, you want to recreate the whole thing. You're going to recreate that as part of it. But
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
You don't want to put it right where you're gonna want to put the
No.
Potworth.
it's true. We probably should start moving and getting some ideas on that.
John can do however much you want to spend.
Yeah, that's the key.
But my question is since he's looking at irrigation, also should he maybe look at artificial turf as well to compare prices?
I think that would be probably a better approach overall in terms of maintenance.
Well, then you can compare the two cost wise and maintenance wise.
Yeah.
World's going to the dogs.
You'll love her dogs.
There's a lot of them.
And you put a sign that trains them to clean up after themselves too.
That'd be
It was just early afternoon, mid-afternoon or around lunchtime. I think there was 20 cars.
Yeah, there's,
Oh, I believe it.
yeah.
I believe it.
And talk about Seco Park activity. I drove by there this weekend and it was full of trailers and cattle.
Yeah.
And you've
Yeah, it was the whole park.
talking
the whole
about,
park.
people just think it's used for the fair and that, it was full of trailers and cattle this
Cattle,
weekend.
Oh, was that the?
Yeah, I can go slow down.
Yeah. The whole parking lot, the entire, I don't know where they parked for the,
And
And I thought to myself, they really didn't line that up very well, but then
No.
again, they haven't really developed a plan on how to line that up very well. Another challenge, but I opened up a can of worms, sorry.
no, I mean, something, because we're gonna keep getting complaints on it. Do something.
Well, we'll look at it. We're looking at some cost. I mean, that's really what it's gonna boil down to is how much we want to spend on. And how well we want to fix it up to make it just what they think they want. The crews were out crack sealing and starting shouldering the asphalt roads that needed it, doing small structure inspections. The Sweet Creek Road precast box is in place and it was open to traffic, Thursday afternoon. And hopefully we didn't get it burned down this weekend. We have ordered our precast boxes that we did open bids for the other day. And I listed where or what sizes and what road they're gonna go on. The last two, Lasida Road and Wildcat Creek, are part of this 5-year sales tax. So we can buy a box and have Alvin's crew set it for probably quite a bit cheaper than having a contractor pre-bid or even have someone do that. So we've got a couple of them. Those are the ones that Alvin felt comfortable doing. So we added them in this project. So we hopefully get those in this year and the next. The very first one he wants to do is the one in Riley to make sure we have asphalt west of Riley. So we have asphalt to replace.
That's what I would say, which it's on the west side.
There's a bridge there and I think there's a smaller structure there on the west end.
Okay, there's a couple on the east side too. Right?
Yeah, this is not the east of it.
Okay.
And so he wanted to make sure it was done first, so he would have asphalt to replace it, put on top when they were done, just in case the others came out later.
Yeah, there's two there.
So as of this Friday too, I had 90%, now I have 95% left of my, or used 95% of my rock budget. So we will borrow and steal from other line items or be careful how much rock we use for we will have some more. We've got about, I think you said $10,000-15,000 worth of rock in our yard. So we have some for our shouldering of the asphalt overlay project and some stuff there, but I have a feeling we will go over and find other line items to borrow from to make it work. We've got the sealing oil out for bid and they will open up April 25th. Overlay project, Shilling Construction was the only low bidder. And he wants to start here the 1st of May. Then Blue River Hills, Stockdale Park Road. So as soon as we get contracts worked our way through, we'll be ready to go with our overlay. And crews are out starting to patch those roads to be prepared for the overlay. Of course, rocking and grading of roads as we need them, and orders for dust control are open till the end of the month. Open positions, well, I have a seasonal, I still have a department. Building and facilities and grounds tech, 1 or 2 position. We've got our final report back from Terracon. We know what kind of liner and how we're going to put it in there. Now it's just a matter of starting our design. SMH has started design on the lift station. We'll be starting it. That will lead to pump to the lagoons, and we'll begin doing some to that designing of and orientation of the lagoon. That'll go. Right now, it's expected to go there on their hole number 6 of their golf course. Public safety headquarters, it's just an old term. You have the EMS headquarters station. And headquarters is past the first reading of the resolution from the city for the rezoning of that to a public improvement district. So that's getting closer. They're getting close to finalizing. The city's planning part is finalizing plans, and We have the easement for our drainage structure, so they're looking at that. Hopefully we get a permit to start building here soon. We're working on what am I trying to say?
Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. Thank you.
Out time.
Yes. Purple Wave went live March 28th, bids closed for it on April 30th. Transfer station scales under the floor, the loadout scales. WS scale had a low bid at 49,880. And looking at a mid-shift start date, hopefully you can shut down on Friday afternoon, Saturday, and get those installed over the weekend. Yeah, here's the resolution for that. It was April, and the next second reading, I think, is April 16th. That is my update, unless you have any more questions or discussions. Should I have any more time? I don't.
I can't. Did you figure out anything on the speed limit on the?
I have that with me and it's on the top of my list.
Oh, okay.
Speed limit, we'll look at yellow lights like we discussed.
Yeah.
I also had a speed limit request for Tabor Road. They're at Zendale, through Zendale up to Combat where we put the new bridge in. We stop at there's a hump there for a ditch. The speed limit at 30 stops there and they're asking to extend it a little further. Yes, I will bring you something and a resolution to sign if you wanted to pass the speed limit out at Riley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy Monday. Okay, so today we are going over our monthly staff report. Catherine is our museum director. We'll start with visitation and tours. I won't go through all of the data, but we have had our highest attendance month since the beginning of the year at 452 visitors, and that includes all of our sites, our museums, and programs in outreach. For our volunteer hours, we had 110 and a half hours. That is a lower number than the other two, but we also had a lot of illness going on through the museum this past month. So there were a couple of times where we advised volunteers to stay home if they did not have to come out. Education and outreach, like I mentioned, we did have some illness and it occurred right around our fireside chat of March. So we did cancel that and reschedule it. It'll actually occur tomorrow night, same program with Derek Doty, and it's on the history of the band show. Curator Highsmith and I provided 2 off-site educational presentations in the month of March. One was on the cemetery restoration and preservation efforts that will be going on this upcoming year, and then the other was on Riley County's leading ladies as an ode to Women's History Month. On March 6th, we provided specialized tours to Dr. Ritterbusch's Museum Studies Certificate Program. There were 19 students and professors who attended that. And we've been very fortunate. We've done a lot of partnering with Dr. Ritterbusch on this program. Through this program, we have also received 2 interns this year. In fact, this semester. So it's been a great outcome and we look forward to partnering with that program in the future. March 25th, the Historical Society hosted their quarterly meeting in conjunction with the museum staff at the Wareham Opera House. So it's a behind the scenes tour. Thank you to Blake Manges for providing that for us. We did get to learn a little bit of history about the Opera House. Excuse me, and the upcoming restoration efforts going on with that tax credit program. 50 people attended that event. And signups for 4th grade tours at the Wolf House are closed for students and teachers. Currently, there are 529 students who have signed up. That is a record since COVID. I do understand that in the past, there have been around 600. So that's the number we're looking to beat in the future. But this is a great number for us. This is every fourth grade school, or every fourth grade class in USD 383. And it also is including the Christian school and the Catholic school. We do rely on volunteers for these programs, and right now 76 of 102 spots have been filled. We are looking for more volunteers, so if there's anyone that has been interested in volunteering, we still have spots for you. As far as collections, we had 4 individual collections donated in the month of March. Out of those 4 collections, there were 16 individual items. We were able to process backlog 3 collections, and out of those 175 items were processed. You've been hearing me mention we're really working hard to adhere to the recent Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, we call it NAGPRA revisions. As a professional museum, our organization, both the museum and the Historical Society, are required to identify our Indigenous collection through summary and share this with National NAGPRA. They will then distribute this for amongst the tribes who have association. Our deadline for accomplishing the summary is July 12th of 2024. That means we have a lot of work to do in the next couple months. Curators Munger and Highsmith met with tribal representatives on April 1st to discuss the Native American objects at the museum that we had on exhibit. And this was a very positive meeting, and the representatives were able to provide us with some great guidance on moving forward concerning the items we had on exhibit. We have been able to reopen our exhibits based upon that guidance, but we have removed a few items that they had advised us to. This will be a lengthy and time-consuming process, and we are going to need to make some alterations to this exhibit in the long run. We do look forward to building the relationships with the tribes and generating positive conversations through this process. I will be coming to you probably in the next couple weeks, maybe a month, with some proposals for how we can accomplish this in addition to all of our backlog. They are a little bit aggressive, but not out of the ordinary for museums. One of those things is to propose that we temporarily suspend intakes of donations. And then also even a potential later on, maybe closing the museum for a couple weeks to where we could actually focus on all of this. Now, the proposal would be something around the holidays, Christmas holiday, New Year's holiday, which is not abnormal for museums to shut down during those times in order to catch up. So that'll be coming down the road as a proposal, but I wanted to give you a heads up that these things may be moving in your direction. As far as archives and library, Curator Glasgow has managed 10 new incoming patron requests from the public and 1 from internal sources in the month of March. There are 5 appointments made to use the research library, and there were 5 walk-in patrons, and she continues to follow up with outstanding requests that have been submitted previously. There's nothing new to report on building and grounds or staffing. One of the things I do want to note as we're going into the Historical Society update is the Pioneer Log Cabin has been closed since October. It will reopen at the end of April. April 28th is going to be that opening date. They are bringing back one of their hosts, Tony Connors, and they have hired a new host whose name is Liz Miller. And just so everyone remembers, the Pioneer Log Cabin is open on Sundays 2 to 5, always free admission. The Society has received 5 proposals in response to the RFP concerning strategic planning and organizational development. The search committee has narrowed their choices down to 2, and they should be making a decision this week at the April 10th board meeting. As things work as they should, as we hope, we're hoping to get someone on that job to start as early as May of this year. The Hartford House, which is a property of the Historical Society, yet sits on the museum grounds, has recently had its door reconstructed and replaced. And Rich, thank you for the heads up on Ron Wells. We were able to hire him, and he rebuilt the entire door, and it's beautiful.
Good.
It was installed then by Jerry Hafner. Additional restoration work is being planned for that National Register listed property. There are a number of issues with it, including leak roofs repainting and replacing the interior wall and the ceiling, which has been deteriorating over the years. Also, the Wolf House roof, I've been talking about it for months. It has finally been replaced with a synthetic wood shake product. The society and I spent months of research looking into this decision on what product would be the best. It was an authentic wood shingle to begin with, but through the guidance of the SHPO and the City of Manhattan Planning Department, we did review certain synthetic products, and a Da Vinci synthetic shape was approved. So it has been installed. It looks great. If you have a chance to drive through there, please do. Also, we do have some additional restoration projects being proposed for that property this year, and they include rebuilding the front door, repainting the back door, repairing the screen on the porch, and enhancing the landscape around the Wolf House. And just as a reminder, the Wolf House is open every weekend, Saturdays and Sunday, 2 to 5, free admission as well. I won't go through all of these events, but a couple of things I want to call your attention to. April 22nd is Grow Green Match Day. This, of course, is a big day amongst all nonprofits in our community who associate with the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation. We will be sending out some marketing information concerning that, and all of those donations go towards the Historical Society's endowments with the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation. Also, I wanted to point out April 23rd, the Society has its next quarterly meeting. It is the history of the First Congregational Church, and that will be with Dr. Leo Shell, 6:30 p.m. At the First Congregational Church at 700 Points. May 3rd, we'll be doing a walking tour of City Park. This is actually a collaboration through UFM. We generally provide one class through them each season, and this is the one that we are doing in the spring. There are currently 4 spots still available, at least that is what was available when I submitted this request. This is actually not through the museum. If anyone is interested in registering, they have to go directly through UFM. And then lastly, May 11th, we are doing a cemetery restoration workshop. This will be at St. Joseph's Historic Church and Cemetery on Lower McDowell Creek Road. This is a collaboration between our organization, Stones of Honor, which is out of Abilene, and then the Geary County Historical Society. Registration became open on Friday evening. So we currently already have a few people signed up. There is a small cost to this. It covers lunch and any supplies. That will conclude my report. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Next, Commissioner, you have Elizabeth Ward at 1010.
Yeah. His first 3 years. Yeah, he said that.
Hey, Sheila, how you doing?
Okay. Just so you know, too, that I survived. I was actually in Allentown, Pennsylvania on Friday when the earthquake happened.
Oh, did you feel it?
No.
No, okay. We're at 4.8, it could have kind of rolled down the alley there. I've seen some videos like a school and like somebody was sitting at a bar or something and
Yeah, no,
just weird.
Remember that when they had a tremor in Washington DC a few years ago? I think people got all upset there, and people from Southern California were doing all kinds of. They could find out
Yeah.
like showing extensive damage in Washington DC, showed an overturned cup of coffee.
yeah.
But wasn't that the one that like did damage to the Washington Monument?
There might have- I didn't.
They had to go back
Yeah,
through
I
and
think
like,
so, yeah, they
yeah,
had
they had to go back, yeah.
a couple of years.
They're sleeping. You're just smart when he bailed.
I get it.
Yeah, let's talk flip flops.
Done with this. I think he was fine with the flip flops. It's now the athletic shoes that we're stuck on. But John's direction was to skip that, get the rest of this done, and go back if we have time. So,
Sure.
so no flip flops, Clancy.
All right.
At least for a few minutes.
Troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get all the issues.
I just thought I'd do it.
Watch that, guys.
I see you trying to avoid this conversation, Commissioner McKenzie, but.
I think you were smart when you bailed on us.
But we waited for you.
Sorry. You could have gone ahead and finished it.
Okay, so we're gonna hold on, excuse me, Elizabeth Ward, Human Resources Director, and we're going to talk about our policy manual one more time. We've got a couple points, which I think will be a little bit easier to discuss. We're gonna get through some of those and then hopefully we'll have time to just get some clarification on. So on page 36 of your manual, it states that the health department employees are required to wear their name badges. And one or two other department heads suggested that this may be made a requirement for all Riley County employees. I know I've also heard though from at least two department heads since then that they were not in favor. So I don't know if anyone here has.
Well, I know some, it was like, ambulance also has to, and
Yes,
don't think Frasers have to wear them too, at least
Well,
when they're out, not when they're out of the office.
they have to identify themselves as Riley County. So yes, David has really very clear expectations of where they wear their name badge. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily their ID, but
But,
it has to
well,
be.
or state tax, yeah.
But the appraiser's office has to be identified as Riley County. They don't wear their name badge, but they have it embroidered on the shirts that they're given. So they have to have a jacket.
If somebody's out there walking around the property, you want to make sure they know.
Yeah, they have to
That's
take
it,
them
yes.
when to be able to show them, but I don't believe they have to have them visible on their body.
Oh, okay. I just.
Yeah.
I didn't know what-
Yeah. And we always tell employees, that is your official name badge. So, if you're working elections or something else like that and you're in the community doing something, you need to have it with you to show. It is a government issued ID. But this request would be specifically to visibly wear your name badge. And I don't know wherever there, it can be visible. I guess you allow it anywhere that's if they have a lab coat.
Most of
or-
them do later, flat presentation, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, for elections on election day and the staff are out in the public, we wear those, but we don't stand in the office. And I'm not a big fan of in favor when you're just here day to day. I mean, just look at the majority here. And, generally the overwhelming majority do not wear them when they're in their public offices, but like appraiser's office, that's when I talked to Elizabeth about it. I said, yeah, that makes good sense because people need to know if you're wandering around on their property, who the heck you are.
Yeah, they have a process in place, definitely.
I rode the bridge crew probably could for him.
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple where I just think that's gonna be difficult, noxious weed. It might be a little bit difficult. Once again, our departments aren't all the same in how they're providing services and how they are interacting with the community and the public, and we kind of have to take that into consideration. Yeah.
And I would also, excuse me, sorry.
I was just gonna say, this is one where I would probably leverage, in case of elections or, if we base some criteria as to where that's important and needs to be visualized, let's do that. And then let's leave that open for the department head to say, you're wearing it, this, and this, or in the case of like Rich saying, or John saying, or I'm sure Mike would be saying, that's not going to be applicable. You gotta allow that flexibility.
And our current policy hasn't caused any problem. So we've had, it's all been handled internally. It's just that when we put it all together, someone saw it and thought, oh, that's a good idea.
Be honest with you, I think everything that we're discussing at this point in our current policy isn't really causing problems.
Yeah, this is definitely not causing a problem. So, there is that.
Yes.
It's not broke, I'll fix it. Okay, so I'm sorry, I shouldn't move past until we're sure. Or is everyone in agreement with that, then to leave it as is?
I think I'm okay with that.
All right, so then the drug and alcohol policy, this was updated to reflect our current practice, and it is in line with local and federal guidelines. And so, our current practice is that we do pre-hire drug and alcohol screening. We do random drug and alcohol screening for the CDL drivers, which is it's actually a whole separate section and it's very much regulated. And then we do any type of suspicion, or if you have a reasonable suspicion. So if anyone comes to work or shows up at a work site and appears to be intoxicated or under the influence of any type of prescription, medication, alcohol, drug, really anything, if they are under the influence of something, then we would have the process to do a drug and alcohol test. We do have a bit of an issue because we do require drug and alcohol tests and whenever there's an accident involving a vehicle. We have a challenge because that's not realistic in Manhattan. We keep getting notice that maybe somebody's going to start after hours testing, but it doesn't happen. So right now we really cannot get one unless it goes to the ER, which we can do but we've actually had police on scene saying, okay, well, this is not something we test for. We don't have any reason to believe this is alcohol related. And so we've been following their guidance on that. And until we have better service, a later service in Manhattan, we probably won't be able to change that. Any questions or concerns with that? Okay. The page 41 and 42 is our electronic communication policy, and the new policy is bring your own device policy. It's new because it hasn't been in the manual. However, it is what we've been doing. My understanding is maybe 8 to 10 years. When we first had the policy manual, we were doing kind of both. First Rutherford County issued cell phones, then they did both. Now we only use a bring your own device. And so we do a stipend if you use your own device. So these two policies reflect what we are currently doing. However, working with Corey, and I know we had that discussion with department heads at the county officials meeting, we're expected to have some updates within the year. But this is what we're doing as of now. It'll depend what kind of software, what kind of oversight, what kind of security measures we need to take.
So if you're going to use this in the policy, you probably want to say which year it's updated within the 24.
Yeah, we're not going to use this verbiage. This is just your executive overview. So it is the verbiage that's in the book is what we would use. And then it would be approved as of the date you approve it. And then we'll probably, if it's before the end of the year, we'll do a resolution. If it is at the, at like a year end, I'm hoping to be able to just bring an updated manual with those tiny few changes and no big conversations. Okay. See head shaking, okay. And the same situation really for the social media policy. In 2012, there was not a social media policy. However, the commissioners have approved that previously. Nothing has changed. It was just added to our policy instead of a resolution.
No, if that recent circuit court ruling is going to have any effect on, I don't think it does on our policy currently.
Tell me which one we're talking about.
I'm talking about being able to basically block certain content and certain verbiage.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with what we've got.
Yeah, okay. I went back through and I took a glance at it and I thought to myself it was fine, but I'm not the legal mind here.
And is that new?
We have to look at the future.
Yeah, is that new direction that you are able to block? Because we are currently not able to block for our policy.
It's murky. I would say it's murky.
That is-
Yeah. I would say we're probably okay at the moment, but that's something we'll probably have to watch and we may need to clarify at some point.
And that's one of the examples of why it's helpful to have the procedural manual
Yeah.
separately, because we can make tweaks much easier
Good point.
to that.
Okay, so a bit of a discussion or conversation is the reemployment after separation. So we do currently allow people who are eligible for reemployment to come back to work at Riley County. The policy, the recommendation of the policy is to expand it to allow employees who return to work to start accruing leave at the rate when they left. So if someone left, they had 5 years, they left and went to another job, but they decided that was not a great fit for them and came back to Riley County, the incentive to come back to Riley County would be that they would start accruing at the 5-year rate instead of the 0 rate. This is something that's fairly common in private companies. And I do think it's kind of an incentive to, if we don't get you convinced that this is a great place and you let you go and you find out that it, the grass wasn't greener. Yeah. They can come back and accrue at that same rate. This doesn't guarantee any pay level or anything like that, or any contract to employment. It just allows us to interview, and if that's the best candidate, start them at that rate.
Yeah. It's fine.
Begrudgingly. I figured if you made the decision to leave, you made your own bed, I think you should lie in it, but I know we've got to use every recruiting tool out there, so. I kind of fall on the ladder.
Yeah. And please note, they obviously, if this has been an employee that we would not, that haven't had a great experience with, hasn't been a stellar employee, there's nothing in here that says we would require them. So these are going to be the employees that we really want to have come back to work with us.
Mhm.
Okay, so then the violence and weapons policy, you all had a handout on that. If you don't still have it, I do have copies, but there is a violence and weapons update. It is significantly different. This was drafted by Clancy, but it was also had input from our attorney, their counselor, that we had several drafts before, and then we had input from the department heads. And at this point, we're very comfortable with this version, but we're also very happy to hear your thoughts. That is. Yes, you can see the blue highlighted, some of the, we redefined firearm. So we've got the definition here of a firearm and a handgun. One of the other big changes is that was always there, it's just a different verbiage. This is important that anyone who makes a threat of violence, displays threatening behavior, or engages violent acts with or without the use of a firearm or weapon is going to be removed from the area as safely as possible. So we want to make sure that that's clear, that it doesn't matter if you're using a weapon or not. And then we have a bullet point list here of some of the included violence in the workplace scenarios, but it's not limiting. And the other thing that we took out, there was a separate kind of section for weapons, but instead we incorporated it into the whole definition. So now we talk about firearms and weapons more into the whole policy. And is there anything else that I didn't hear?
I mean, that makes sense only because you could use a phone book as a weapon. I mean, if we start defining things too tightly.
Does anyone have phone books anymore?
Well, you have to know, someone would have to know what a phone book was. And they go find one. I just used the worst possible example.
That was actually.
Let's say you were driving your Model T.
Yeah.
We did have previously, one of the weapons that was defined was mace. And then we had department heads point out that is a self-defense tool. And many of our employees carry mace in their purse, on their keychain. And Rich is shaking his head,
Self-defense tools of the 9mm, but.
Yeah.
That's a bad example. It's just self-defense.
Well,
There are people, as you know, there are people more comfortable with that,
Uh-huh.
with the non-lethal stuff. And it did seem like there was going to be And it made sense. It was
I
something.
think that's the
I
key,
thought of.
non-lethal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there are people who are just not comfortable with firearms,
Mhm.
that might want to feel that they're protected at certain times with some non-lethal item. And you want to make room for that.
Mhm.
Now, it doesn't mean you can use mace on your supervisor.
Yeah, you can't threaten anybody with mace, you can't threaten anyone with anything.
Of course, it depends on how big a container of mace you're carrying.
Well, it limits it here,
That's true.
a small non-lethal.
I just thought about defining mace because when pepper spray is not mace.
But everybody's definition of small is different.
Yeah.
I think where we're gonna hang our hat is the threatening behavior and how you're
Exactly.
using the item that you have.
Yeah, it's keyed on conduct rather than what the item is.
Yeah.
And then the last is just the appendix. So the definitions will move to the back of policy. Luckily, they were in the very first couple of pages, and I want to just get the meat and potatoes up front. And if people need to define supervisor or human resource information system or counselor, they can go to the back of the book. Okay. Now, shall we talk about dress code?
Oh, let's.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm done with the conversation.
Okay, we need a direction from.
I'm leaving it as is. And it deals with the last two conversations we had, and it deals with an email thread of us arguing over shoes. I mean, literally arguing over footwear. I've come to the conclusion with this that really we didn't have any issues with this, or at least that I'm aware of leading into this conversation. It's the conversation that we've had in itself that's causing conflict and chaos. And in my opinion, we're not winning anything with this point.
We've had dress code issues. We've had dress code
Okay.
conversations. And I've only been here again since 2020, but we've had regular conversations and concerns and definitions and people asking.
So what are they based off of?
Which part, or what do you mean? What's like,
The whole
what?
thing. What is it based? What is the conversation based off?
So what can I wear? Who can I hire? Who's not eligible to work here? Who has to wear something to cover what up?
Okay.
I mean, legitimate questions. There's people here who have said, okay, well, does the new policy allow me to hire this person with this stuff? So.
We've spent, probably before it's all said and done here today, almost an hour and a half with all the applicable staff, with all of us. We haven't really come to a solid conclusion as to what that should or shouldn't be at this point in time. I'm actually of the opinion, to be honest with you, that we need to have more of a broader discussion on what our vision and focus is as an organization to start with. And that really solve some of this issue to begin with and give us a clearer path, which something I know we're working on and it's going to happen on later. So maybe this conversation just needs to be put to the side. I know we need to develop a policy, but we can always make changes along the way. But I'm of the opinion that if you're not sizably changing status quo for the better, don't change it. And that I'm getting the opinion at this point in time with the conversations we've had that really it's coming down to kind of opinions and feelings. Neither one of them provides solid solution.
So to be clear, are you suggesting we stay with the policy that was written in 2012 or with the proposal that's written now?
Yeah, I'm saying 2012.
Okay, so we're not following that. And
it's not perfect.
Well, I mean,
get that.
if you want to follow that, we'll have to make significant changes with our personnel.
Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, you know where I stand. I think that's what you commissioners have to decide. Are we, for lack of a better word, a professional organization or not? I understand there's different levels of custodians to, noxious weed public works, and I've worked all those jobs and there's appropriate dress for that as well. And even within your organization, how do you want them to? I mean, you can have people that come to work with a bright orange safety shirt and then it looks almost white. Do you want it to be that pale? No, you probably want them to look professional in their appropriate attire. I don't disagree with Commissioner Ford. I don't think there need to be a lot of wholesale changes if we remain that type of an organization. Part of what Elizabeth brings these policies to is we need clarification to be sure departments are following them. I would disagree that it will cause a lot of problems with employees if we say we're going to adhere to them, because we've gone through difficult situations in departments. And at the end of the day, when the employees analyze and see what else is out there and how they're treated at Riley County, they decide to stay in much more difficult issues than what we're talking here. And so I just think it needs clarification, maybe in writing, however this board decides, but then your appointed department heads need to understand the commissioners expect this to be followed. And that's what Elizabeth's saying, is when issues come up, well, this is our policy, but this person or this person isn't following it. We need to have some consistency.
And just to be clear, like, you have department heads who have visible tattoos, you have people in customer service who have visible tattoos and piercing, and I'm not suggesting they're all going to quit, but there will be significant change to their daily dress or approach to coming to work, which will have morale effects.
And I don't know, I'm not gonna say go back to that one, because I'm not sure which, I've seen so many versions. What is the 12? I guess I need, and I've probably got it in the book in there. I need to go back, because there's been this revision and that revision. There's a lot of suggested revisions. Some I agreed, some I don't. But to go back to the original one, unless I go back and reread it, I want to. I don't remember how much.
And I did.
What the original changes were, and maybe they're in some in this stack I've got, but I'm gotten lost in there.
I think it's this one that's, isn't it the red one that we're talking?
Oh, they're all.
I don't know which, I think this is this the late?
Elizabeth, it doesn't sound like this will get resolved today, so it'd be good to give the commissioners what our current policy is for the next time it's reviewed, and here's their proposed.
Yeah, yeah, we had it in original, but it's been a while, and I thought I had it here, this, but I don't.
And that's,
Because this one, I don't know when this is.
like, I've seen so many versions.
This is the smaller version.
I know, but is that the original, the 2012? I don't think we
No,
have
it's
the
not.
2012 anywhere.
No.
And I was, I need to go back and see if I'm going to go back to that. I want to go back and review what that was, because there's been a lot of different changes discussed.
Sure, yeah, no, I disagree that if we go back to 2012, that I think that we're not in the same culture as we were in 2012. I think that will be a challenge, but I will definitely get it to you so you can review.
Okay.
John was first.
I don't know if I have too strong a feeling one way or the other. I guess I do, in a way that I think 2012 and even some of what we have proposed needs to kind of be relaxed a little bit. And just for the fact, I don't know, I'm not looking at different levels of positions. I'm just looking at any position I hire. If you have a visible tattoo, I shouldn't be hired. I shouldn't even offer you the job. And we would lose a couple of good, really good.
Yours is a tough one. I understand that.
I mean, really good employees if I did that. And one of them works in the main building right here, and every time I threaten to move her, I get threatened to be fired. So I don't mean to make fun or joke or light of it, but some of the tattoos and the piercings, I don't know where I would draw the line. Well, I guess I would when I see it in my mind, but I don't know if I could explain it to you.
See, that's the problem with it right there. Your opinion of what may be offensive or not offensive is not the same as somebody else's. And how do you draw a line or make a threshold there?
But this is similar to the other comments that we had. We haven't had a problem. So we're allowing it. We're allowing visible tattoos and we're allowing visible piercings. And we have not had customer complaints or refusals to work with us.
I'm not even talking about customers. I'm just talking about how do you define that internally?
Right.
You're not defining that internally. And through our conversations, I'm not seeing how we're defining that internally. Because everybody's going to have a separate opinion as to what that is.
Right. It does fall, it definitely falls on you all to make that final determination.
Well, but like tattoos, if this was a revision, ones that are deemed offensive or distracting by the department head must be covered. I don't have a problem with that. You know, if they have offensive words, messages, slogans, that kind of thing, I don't have a problem with that. But just a regular, other kind of tattoos like flowers, all that stuff that's not offensive. I think that should be relaxed. But piercings, tongue piercings bother me because they affect the speech. And it's hard. A lot of times that affects it. You can't understand a person if you're, somebody, older person comes in and is trying to understand a policy, in the clerk's office or in the treasurer's office, that could be a problem. But department heads should know what would be offensive.
You'll have 15 different opinions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
offensive
what we can't
ones.
work around.
That's why you have to have policies to define the organization you want, not what each individual customer finds offensive or not. What do you want this organization to represent? What do you want your employees to represent in your community? That get paid well from those customers with good benefits.
That's true. And I guess I everything, that's true. You need to define what you want an organization to be. And I don't think, in my mind, I know what you already have and what you already are. And I think you offer good services and you don't get complaints. So to go backwards from what you're already in practice doing, it doesn't seem merited. And it's going to be difficult, but it's not impossible and it's not
How are you really going backwards if you already have a policy in place?
Because we're not following the
enforcing
policy. We're not enforcing it, and we have many people in employment now, customer service facing, who have these things. So it would tighten that back up to the place we haven't been for a while.
Just to clarify, go ahead.
She's been waiting.
Yeah.
I just think that, that culture has changed. I mean, there used to be a time where women in the workforce could only wear dresses, and we've moved past that. And my office in particular has, I do have, it's entry level positions. Typically they're, to get on board with the county, it's an entry level position. We have younger staff. I know that doesn't make a difference, but we have to move a little bit with the times. And so it is going to get more and more difficult. You've even said it before, our workforce is shrinking. And so if now we can't have, to find a person without a single tattoo or a visible tattoo, I just think it's going to be more difficult. And I have a couple people with one little stud that you can't even see it. So it seems to me to make a mountain out of a molehill on some of these things. But I don't think we can just say no policy or go back to what we're not practicing. And I just think I know for a fact that I will have very, very angry staff, and I have some I think I would lose. And they are very, very valuable employees to the county. And so I just think I would really like you to consider coming up with something that somewhat follows what we're currently doing.
What I'm seeing here doesn't do any of that at this point in time.
Yeah, that's its intent, but
I
that is the
mean,
intent.
for instance, how do you say, well, it's just a small nose ring, that's okay, but a tongue piercing you haven't really defined piercing. I mean, it's a broad term.
Yeah, you can, and I don't know if it's in this last one, but I think the last version that the department heads came to was basically that they could be worn as long as they don't interfere with the ability to perform. And so that is the definition. So if it interferes with the ability to perform your duties, then that's an issue that the supervisor and the department head would take.
The other thing with piercings is you can take them out to do your job during the day, correct? Tattoos is another thing. It's permanent. You're not working around that, but
I don't think you can take them out entirely, but you could get something that is like flesh colored or less visible.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some, but I'm not an expert on every piercing.
Yeah,
I'm not, but many of them will close if you don't keep.
I guess I got old fast.
It does sound like I said, I'm not sure what the original one,
Yeah.
but if the original one said no visible tattoos, then obviously that's something we have to change. It seems like we need to have some kind of modifications. I don't know. Because my things, I need to go back to what the original is. I don't think we can go back to the original one, but got 2 or 3 versions now.
Yeah.
It's confusing as to where we're headed.
Yeah.
And I realize that's the.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, I have done research into other areas, right? I talked to you about the Potawatomi County, the Manhattan Public Library, the Creighton Health Center, those are all, 2 of those are in our area, Creighton Health Centers in, it's out of Nebraska and it's regional, but some Midwest policies. There are a lot of them that just say when it becomes an issue, if it becomes an issue, it's a problem. So when it interferes with your job, when you have customer complaints, and until that point, you don't make a change. But I mean, we can definitely define that more specific than that, less specific, however.
You've also thrown out there RCPDs.
Yeah.
It's top heavy with definitions and examples, and I mean, that's kind of swinging the other way. Okay, we've got definitions, now we've got 50 definitions.
Right, and RCPDs is very much, it has, so it defines everything, right? Because you're supposed to be uniform services, so it defines, like, it measures out where your goatee is, like the centimeters and, the angle and all those things, but it does not allow, so it does allow piercing, but there's very specific, it does allow tattoos, excuse me, but there's very specific. It does not allow piercing, and it does not allow, there's like 4 or 5 specific colored hair that it does not allow. But I will tell you that Manhattan City allows all of that, and our CPD is going to start discussing the piercing. So
Discussing doesn't mean they're changing.
does not mean they're changing, but it's timely. This is the culture we're in.
And the hair color, I know that, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I know that was one thing.
It isn't in ours.
It's not.
It's not in ours.
It's not, and it hasn't been, and
That just got brought up at like the last department head meeting.
yeah, it's not in the 2012 version, and it's not in the proposal for hair color. There's so much you could,
Well, I was just saying, a lot of schools she did that there was requirements for the students, and theirs it was always no, because you can't say colored hair because a lot of people reaching. They said no hair color not natural to humans.
That's what our CPD says.
RCPD said with specific colors. It
says no natural color, and it says these 4 colors, but it says et cetera after colors. The bottom line is no natural hair color.
Right.
Well, I mean, Elizabeth said we're not following. I just think the board needs to know some are following a fairly strict as far as hair color and piercings and other things within their office. It's not like it's a carte blanche that everyone's not following some form of policy, more traditional policy, because it was brought up the hair color by a department that does not allow the various hair colors. So just don't want it to be portrayed that the organization is not following policies. There are very many of these types of policies that are being followed. But I think the hair color does need to be a discussion, because that was brought up by an individual department head at the last department head meeting. I'm not also sure, whatever Elizabeth said this was recommended by the department heads after our last hour-and-a-half meeting. I'm not sure there's any consensus on all of it altogether, because we ended at 11:30 and everyone was just kind of done talking about it. And the thing is, if you do allow a nose piercing, you better be specific, and some limit them to 2 millimeters, because if you don't, something's going to start protruding from the ear. Something's going to start being looped from the ear. These policies will grow, commissioners, just like the old policies have grown. And who's to say that someone, a department head, their employee gets gauges that are however big. If that department head doesn't deem it offensive, that's what your organization is going to have within the organization. So you need to give these people some direction, because you don't want 15 different opinions.
And that I completely agree with you. You have to make the decision, and you have to give us direction, and there's just no other way to put it. If we don't have that direction, and we can get down to specifics. I think in one version I had some specifics of numbers and sizes, and we can get down to that.
Sounds like we need to break it down into 3 categories and maybe do that, piercings and jewelry, tattoos and visible things on skin, and I guess hair color.
Yeah.
Can we try to leave flip-flops out of it at least?
Well,
No, that was brought up.
Yeah. I'm just wanting you to know, I didn't bring up flip-flops.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
I tried to, actually.
I just know my 5+ years here, none of this ever came up until this conversation came up, and now we've had,
Well, that's.
we've had.
No, it's
Okay, fair enough, to me, it's come to me.
And that isn't where it come out. though.
Yeah, I hope.
But, you know, we've
I
now
hope it-
had 3 separate half-an-hour conversations where we've got department heads sitting here that I will have better things to do with their time right now than to argue over all of this, as well as the rest of us, and we're not getting anywhere on it.
Yeah, well, I think the reason that they're here is because this probably is important enough.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
not
agree they
saying-
have other things.
I'm
to
not
do.
saying that they shouldn't be here. I'm just saying, you know, in the midst of everything that we're working on and trying to do, we'd be better served to be doing those things other than this.
And if
Go
we
ahead.
get it right, then-
I just say one of the things that Bill, I think you have heard is a common theme from some of the department heads is this is going to have an impact on who stays in their organization. And it's not based on that person's performance. It's not.
That's true.
And so that's why I think there's some concern here. And I don't know, I don't have a magic formula that's going to address that. But
My job more important than all those things? To me, it's not, but unfortunately,
That's what
I don't think
The
that way.
difficulty is the market out there for it.
Mhm.
It's so competitive. That's and I'm not saying you cave to everything that they want, it's not what I'm saying.
It feels like over the last couple of years, that is what we're doing to a certain extent. We
The
keep
market
rolling
is
out
So,
red carpets.
the market is so competitive right now for them. So it's like nothing we've ever seen.
Well, it is, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're kind of seeing record numbers of applications submitted for
We are.
positions right now. So people always make, with positions, but
Numbers.
we have seen some with significant, and I make a decision, you make a decision before you ever go interview for any job. Based on everything that it offers, if you want to go there or not. You say we will lose people if we do this or that in a policy. We have had some employees in very difficult situations over much bigger issues than this that didn't choose to leave on their own
Who said they would?
because of the market of other jobs out there and the grass not being greener on the other side of the hill. So I just hate to throw out assumptions that we think that's going to happen.
But I think for me, the thing that Clancy said that maybe I have not iterated well enough is that this is not based on performance. So the thing, it's a.
Yeah, I
you know,
understand.
you've got the job- I know your
understand.
job matters,
Yeah.
but this is the job that we hire someone to do.
But
And if
once
they,
again,
if
I
it's
also,
interfering, then yes, if it's not interfering with their job, they're
Right.
doing a great job.
but I do also think that each one of us has decisions to make, and that decision is there for you to make.
Sure,
When I mean,
that's
we're
not
not,
true,
you know.
and it's not illegal, but
Right.
I'm just saying you have to decide not only what you want to look at, like, but the performance of your job. If you're happy with the performance being done, this isn't related to that. Okay, so I think, let me like kind of like reiterate what you guys maybe want me to do next. Bring back the original 2012 policy. Bring back some sort of more defined definitions to those 3 areas that John kind of talked about. So we've got tattoos, hair color, piercing. And I think the rest of it, I don't think the rest of the dress code had concerns or issues. The only question I had for you, Commissioner McKinley, is you brought up athletic shoes, but what was the intention? Was the intention to allow kind of those sneakers that are like dress sneakers, or to disallow all of them?
I don't know, that was a question, you know, because
Yeah.
athletic shoes is a huge, I mean, that's a very broad definition.
Yeah, well, I added a definition on there. I don't know if it meets what you're.
Oh,
So I've added athletic shoes are defined as sports shoes with enhanced stability features, cushioning and traction intended for use in sports. But I want to be really clear that, and no one in here has them on, but the sneakers, so like the dress sneakers that we see that are like Hey Dudes or help me out here, like kind of the canvas.
Skechers.
That's an actual brand?
Yeah.
Hey Dude.
Oh, yeah, we have them.
Oh, I thought that was like a,
They're,
Hey, dude. shoes.
well, I thought that was just like a nickname or something.
No, that's-
Oh, yeah.
That's a brand.
well, the
Okay.
casual dress is what I would call them, casual dress shoes. If we stick with that definition, would be allowed. And that's okay that's okay. I just I don't want there to be like non-transparency with that. By defining athletic shoes, we would be allowing some of those casual dress shoes. They would still have to have a toe, they'd have to have a back, they'd have to have a strap, you know, all those good things, but
And heel, but no heels or whatever.
yeah, if they have a back, they don't have to have a heel, so.
It's a big fad right now, wearing sneakers with
With suits, yeah.
Yeah, and you see it all over in all the talk shows and all these things
Yeah,
on
everyone,
television.
yeah.
Yeah, so it'll probably go away.
Yeah.
I bet.
I bet you probably don't if it's here.
Oh, everything cycles.
Yeah.
They thought bell bottoms wouldn't come back.
Oh, no, please don't.
They're coming
Don't.
back. There's a lot.
They did.
Yeah, I refuse to do that. Enough of it.
Again.
That wasn't even.
Again.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
So if we leave flip-flops with this definition, are we good with athletic shoes? Or do you want that to be? I do like the flip-flop definition. It took a little time, but, and other people, not me, were able to develop that. So I think that one really covers a good, all of the rubbery, beachy.
So flip flops we're allowing now that doesn't have something that wraps around the heel because all of the previous discussion of what was offensive about flip flops or anything deemed a flip is they make that flip flop noise.
So we have always, even in the 2012, allowed them if they had a heel. So if they had either a back strap or a heel, they've been allowed. What hasn't been allowed, and the big difference with this one, is that strap between the toes and across the bridge of the foot. So previously it said,
So basically, it's not a flip flop, it's a sandal that you want to allow, not the flip
they
flop.
want to allow mules, women's dress mules, which are closed-toed. Dress shoes sometimes are flat. They are dressy, but they were not allowed under the previous flip flop definition.
Do we have to provide a hitching post?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up because I'm not getting the.
I can handle a mule like that, Rich. You'll be fine. So,
To me,
Isn't there another
tennis shoes are
transfer mule too, which I feel like this is what we're doing.
well, I think what we're
Picking up
trying to
ourselves.
avoid is like beach type shoes. So what you would wear that's like rubbery beach style shoes. I think that's the thing we're trying to avoid in this. But to Rich's point, it's 10 years ago, 12
Through
years
many of
ago,
those discussions, a big issue was the noise.
the noise, yeah.
That they create.
So they need a heel strap
Mhm.
Well,
of some sort.
yeah, and that's not a requirement right now if they have a heel. So we can require that, but it'll make it more restrictive than what we currently have.
Well, how many people wear flip flops to work?
You know what? If we didn't have this rule, a lot.
Really?
Oh my goodness, this is a big important rule, you guys.
As you can tell, all of these little issues are big, important, from hair color to tattoo to earrings.
It's true.
Like I
mean,
said,
I'm sorry that this is the detail.
here's what you're doing with the tattoos and the earrings. You're asking all of us to evaluate those each and every time. Like I said, first time in my career, 2 months ago, I had to approve a tattoo. I was never intended to take this position to approve tattoos. Or whether you're wearing a 2 mm nose stud or,
Your hair looks like a bag of Skittles.
well, the natural hair color to me actually is pretty easy, but if it's defined as natural hair color, not your natural hair color, but.
Here, if you want to see a picture.
I was
of
gonna
a
say that.
professional dress,
Somebody else.
then they'll know. This is the casual dress.
This is a professional,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a problem.
So that would be
I
allowed
don't have a
with
problem
this
with that.
definition.
Okay,
I mean,
right, that's what they're talking about, it's a
fine.
difference
Yes,
between
yes.
that and a ten,
Right.
and a, okay.
That's fine.
Now, can you look up,
Mine are
what was it? A donkey, a mule, what was it? Because I've got a totally different issue with what that is.
Yeah, be careful. Be very-
Could we get a motion to have David be the dress shoes are?
Just the minutes,
No, no.
just the minutes.
So a mule just is closed toe. It usually has kind of a pointy toe, like a dress shoe. But this is a mule right here.
Yeah, I've got to see
I
it.
can't. Oh,
It's all about this. Okay.
This is a mule.
Oh, no.
And those are not flip.
Did you say not approved?
Noise.
I know, I
Because they're solid on the front.
But it doesn't have a strap on the back.
I don't have a mule, I don't know what.
That does not have a strap on the
Right.
back.
Any attention.
And it has the tiniest heel.
We're never gonna solve any of this.
No.
We're just not. I hate to
Well,
tell you
I
that.
mean, I think I think we're gonna have to solve it and then we'll just enforce it.
It's.
Let the next
Yeah, we
commission do it.
I mean, are you gonna allow stuff with straps or no straps? I mean, it's either gonna eliminate something or it's gonna add something, and we're just gonna have to accept it whichever way it goes. Period.
Well, except there won't be a period, because there will be a change in the fashion, there will be a change in the culture. I mean, and the cultural changes, we talked about those. I mean, there was a time when it was considered, there was no facial hair allowed for men in the workplace. That was unprofessional, and that was accepted forever. And among law enforcement, they had to argue whether they could have a mustache or not.
Oh, it had, at one time it had to be very.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So those kind of cultural things, while, I would agree, sometimes they seem a bit much or making a big deal of something. They matter to people.
It didn't matter. And like I heard Catherine say, women used to have to wear nylons.
Nylons and skirts. No,
Never see that, and we do not want to go back to that.
Ooh.
It's tedious, but it does have.
You said that correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if anybody knows it's tedious, I promise you, I know it's tedious. I agree 100%. So none of this really has changed, just for like something fun. None of this has changed. The flip flop, this has not changed. All that's the same. The flip flop definition is changed. The athletic shoes is added, which this would in effect allow those shoes that David's talking about, that David showed you a picture of.
From now on, be called David's shoes.
David's shoes. None of this is new.
I'm trying to be hopeful.
I am too.
So none of that is new. And then just the jewelry, tattoos. This is the only new verbiage here. And it does talk about you can't use it in, the tongue,
The overall.
the mouth, the cheek, no expanders, nothing attached through. So that does cover like the tongue ring that you mentioned, the things that would inhibit speaking, the mouth, the cheek.
So where on there does it prohibit the tongue?
The bottom objects, articles.
Okay.
Yeah, the very bottom.
That was one fairly early in my career I did have to address.
Tongue
Yeah.
early in your career, that's not as
Very
common as it is now, so interesting. Yeah, so I mean, basically, this policy right now says that if it doesn't interfere with your ability to do your job, it is acceptable, except those tattoos that are deemed offensive, the jewelry for safety sensitive positions, and the objects worn through the tongue, any part of the mouth, or the cheek.
But since we're gonna be here all afternoon, go ahead.
One way to help simplify it, because people, when they come to an interview, always put their best foot forward. So mandate a picture on the day you come to your interview and say, we would like you to look similar to this.
Yeah, but we've also mentioned you have to wear purple too, so do we eliminate purple hair?
I'm just saying, it's amazing how people dress when they really want a job and they come to an interview.
Yeah.
That's probably a cultural shift too, I suppose.
Depends on the position.
And I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But still, they generally come on their best behavior on that day when wanting that job.
So I can put this policy beside the 2012. We can do some edits on that. Do you want to see these things that are not changed? Can I leave out this whole part for simplicity? Or do you want to see the whole dress code in its entirety?
Well, I think like Commissioner McKinley said, they want to see the original one first before they make any decisions.
Yes, that's my point. Do you want to see just the changes, or would you like to see the entire dress policy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, I can work with that. All right, I can do all of that. And otherwise, I think that will be the last item. I did overhear that you had a question about one of them from Thursday that we discussed, you asked Rich to clarify a motion.
It was written up wrong in the minutes.
Oh.
The Christmas, I thought we agreed on it, but it wasn't written.
If you can
up
look
that
at
way
it
in
and
the
get
minutes.
the correct.
2 days except Saturday and
Except
Sunday.
that's not the way it was written in the minutes.
But that's probably for me to do that. I don't.
Yeah, and then when you think you got it narrowed down, you might run it by Commissioner McKinley if that's how you remembered. I wasn't here at that time, so
I mean,
I wasn't available to
2
provide any
days, except
input.
when not when Christmas
Except that's not the way it's written in the minutes.
yeah, but I mean-
It says Christmas and Christmas Eve, except that it's a holiday, and then it's only Christmas, except if it's Saturday, Sunday, then it's only Christmas, and that's not.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
I thought we had agreed, you know.
Yeah, I know. I
2 days.
did agree. I probably
One
just did
day
that.
on Saturday, Sunday.
Well, it was just in the minutes. I think.
Yeah,
No,
Mhm.
you definitely agreed. I just probably didn't put the verbiage correctly, so.
well, whatever. The minutes just didn't match what we had discussed.
Sure, okay, I didn't know if there was anything else to that, okay, all right. See you guys on Thursday. I'm really, I really want to be done too, John, I really do, I
Well,
really.
let's bring it back every
Session, let's do this.
Thank you very much.
We need to go out shopping.
Bring in a
Bring in a sample
sample
of
of shoes.
Flip flops, mules, well, I would trip if I wore flip flops to work or mules. I'd be tripping and falling, that's but some people can handle it. No, I don't see people's toes.
I don't know, tennis shoes.
Okay, John.
Tennis shoes are,
Very good one.
I don't, they're sandals, but it's.
Yeah.
That's what they are?
Those are Hey Dudes, Derek has one Hey Dudes.
Derek, come here.
Uh-oh. Come here,
Tell you what, hey,
Come here, dude. Yeah, they've got every kind of shoe that Hey Dudes do.
And they're usually closed toed and they have laces you don't tie, but they're over the foot and
They're super.
cushion sole and supposedly amazingly comfortable.
Are they comfortable?
That's all I wear.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check my, do they help your arch, so do they have arch support in them? They have an arch support in them? Oh,
I don't think so.
I've heard about it before, but I just thought the terminology was, I didn't know that was
People
out
love
of
them. I don't
brain.
have any, but.
Okay. Okay.
that was the last item, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Can it be the last time we discuss that item?
No, it won't be. My brain hurts, so I'm actually done for the day.
Me too.
Okay. Sure like to discuss for another hour, but I think I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I would second that.
I moved and seconded to adjourn the April 8th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All in favor?
Aye.